Alright, what's up guys? This is part 2 of the Autoload template file tutorial for Ableton Live, and where we left off, we were just about to put some EQs in all these tracks. So for programs like Live, I don't know if I mentioned in the last tutorial or not, but those are already built in. They're called channel EQs. Hopefully in Live 9 they'll put something similar, but until we all get Live 9, we're still going to be working like this. So something that I always do is I put an EQ. My EQ of choice is the FabFilter Pro Q. Kind of a plug for them, but fucking badass equalizer. If you don't have that, you can just use the EQ8. It's a great EQ. Just still waiting for that EQ8 with the Spectrum built in. That's kind of the benefit of the FabFilter when it has the Spectrum built in the background. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag this in to the lead bus channel right here. And so I already have it. This is my default EQ when I load it. It's got the low cut already set up and the high cut, so I can just kind of really come in here and kind of just get the audio how I want it. And for here, I'm just gonna drag and then put it on all the file or all the lanes I really wanted. So generally speaking, I'm gonna put an EQ on every single channel. And something to be aware of when you're using this FabFilter EQ, when I open it, I don't know where there's when you have it working, I have it set so the pre and post is already on, and that means there's an audio analyzer going on. Takes CPU. If you're in a CPU crunch situation, you're gonna want to unclick that once you're done working with whatever channel strip you're working on. So something to keep in mind for all those people with monoliths from the past, or someone who likes to use a lot of very nice VSTs like I do. They take a lot of CPU. And so right now all I'm doing is just putting an EQ on every channel. Quite literally, it's I'm not gonna put one on all the vocal channels. Probably just the clear ones. And then cut it off at the vocal bus for the effects ones. Yeah, and I'll probably I'll leave the clear ones open here. I'll definitely put one on the reverb channel, delay, and chorus. And so that's all the channels right there. So now that we got all the EQs in there, I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in drum racks, because for me, or at least one drum rack, I like having a drum rack already set up. I always, without a doubt, have a percussion channel strip where I just have a bunch of sounds, and it's kind of where I make the groove. My snare claps and stuff, they'll probably be just, that's all it'll be in that channel, because I do pre-claps and other stuff like that, and I'm going to have those kind of isolated by themselves so I can drag and drop them while I'm trying to get stuff organized. But I will always have a percussion channel with a bunch of different sounds, and drum rack's perfect for that. And my Autoload for drum rack already has 4 samplers in there. If that's not how it works for you, you can change that. I think in the drum rack tutorial I talk about how to do that, but for this one, I know I'm gonna want to have a fuck ton of samplers, so I'm gonna just go ahead and control drag, make a sampler in this whole 16 drum pad right here, all those little things, so I can already have them all set up. And of course in drum rack you have like a bazillion of these things, but 16 should be enough for me typically. And typically I'm gonna have a FabFilter in all of these channels as well, but that's something for me to do once I open up the file and if I decide I need it. So that's pretty much it for the drum bus. I'll leave it at that. Some people there's a lot of really nice plugins like Alloy, zero latency plugin bus things, but I'm not going to put in any of those at this point. I don't really like them too much anymore because I really like to have all my sounds come into the master bus pure. Once again, I keep getting distracted, but back to this stuff. Going down, all these buses are how I want them, you know. The vocal bus, the trick that I use for these, it actually doesn't involve any plugins, so it involves a warp engine in live, so it's dealing with audio clips and all that shit. So don't need to worry about that for now. Coming down to effects bus though. This is where the parallel processing that I was talking about earlier happens. So how I do this is I use an audio effects rack. Thought I put some fab filters in there. Gonna definitely need to get those in there. And what the audio effects rack lets you do is it lets you parallel process the sound. So in here I'm gonna have two chains of audio going through here. One of them is gonna have my favorite reverb on there, which at the moment is the Lexicon Random Hall. Badass reverb. Have a nice, very long tail. No pre-delay. I don't know why. I just don't like pre-delays. Don't like how it sounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that already figured out before I even start doing this shit. And I'm gonna put the fab filter in there behind that, and this is what it's gonna do is cut all these low boomy bass tones that do a great job of muddying up your mix. So I'm gonna name these dry. So that's the dry signal. It's the wet signal. And if you noticed, this is already 100% wet. So this is the dry wet. They call it mix in this plugin, but that's what it is. You're gonna want that all the way wet. And next, what I'm gonna do is just copy this down. And of course, I'm gonna take the delay out. I mean the reverb, because it says delay over here. And I'm gonna put in the ping pong delay. Where's that ping pong delay? Ping pong delay, yes. And put it 100% wet, about 30. And 3 works good for now. I might move it up a little bit. And that works for there. That's just a send ping pong delay sound now. The chorus. On the chorus, I'm not actually gonna do it parallel because part of the like stereoscopic things that chorus does kind of gets defeated if you have another channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it 100% wet and put it about there, and reduce that a little bit to taste. So now the effects bus is effectively done. I'm gonna go ahead and drag one of these on top of this as well. This one actually is gonna be even lower than normal because some of the cinematic effects, all the really weird how it sounds so big is because there's all these really strange bass tones that happen from reverb, and you want to hold on to those, but the situations where you want to use those are big breakouts where you're not having any bass lines or kicks going on, because those will really muddy it up if they layer up on top of each other. That's mastering though, so I'm not gonna dwell too long on it. And speaking of mastering, we're getting closer, but we're not there yet. First is reverb. So for the sake of expediency, I'm gonna go ahead and copy these two over. I'll probably make this one a lot shorter and probably change it. I like Hall 3 too. It's a nice hall. Actually, no. Hall 2. And I'm gonna high cut it a little bit more. So you can also do that in the Pro Q, but this affects how the character of the reverb when you do it inside. So that's pretty much it for the reverb. You might want to throw a compressor on there. That's just by taste. Sometimes it cleans up your mix. For me, I do it Nothing too strong. Some people don't like it too strong. I'll give it a little bit more ratio. Get some pump. I'm also going to throw on a simple delay. And I like 3.4 or 3.5. That works well for me. And of course 100% wet because we're on send. And drag another one down there. So yeah, that's it for the returns. I don't really use too much returns. It's not something I'm big about. Some people do, but I like how I design my audio effects is typically catered specifically for whatever it's affecting. So if I'm going to design a reverb, it's going to be for whatever sound. It's not going to be for everything in the file. That's not true if I'm talking about drums, because you want to have all your drums in the same environment sometimes. But once again, I keep getting distracted. This is the last part. The last thing that I'm going to change, at least, is the master bus. And the first thing I put on here is a utility. And utility is an extremely useful little live device. And what I use it for now is I put it on 0% width. What this does is it crunches everything down to mono. And this is nice if you want to check how your mix sounds in mono. For example, if you have a really stereo thing going on and you're kind of worried if that's when the thing gets crunched down to mono, if it's going to completely disappear, it's going to sound like crap. This is nice because you can just turn on this little guy and it'll let you know how it sounds. Next, I'll have a spectrum. Just to, if I ever want to check on some sounds, etc. Go ahead and turn it off for now. That's something that really makes more of a difference at the very end when you're doing a mix down and you're starting the mastering process and etc. The next part is something that these big ass plugins really help with. Ozone is my master chain plugin of choice. I like their maximizer a lot, and typically due to the CPU usage, I like the IRC3, which takes the most CPU. Blah blah blah. I know, sucks, but if you just take that individual part out of the master chain, it takes a lot less CPU. Yada yada. I'll get it the kind of way that I want it. If you don't have it, this doesn't really matter. And that'll kind of be my limiter while I'm working. And how I work is I work with limiter. Some people say, oh, that fucks up your dynamics. I mix my tracks. Typically, none of them are hitting the red. Typically, by the time it gets to the Ozone, the only thing that's popping over the red is the snares and claps. That's it. So it's just how I mix. Some people do it differently, but that's just how I do it. And sometimes I'll have the whole Ozone 5 on there. Just for starters, though, I'm gonna have the Ozone, just the limiter there, and that's pretty much it. That's like my typical. Oh, I almost forgot my oscilloscope. I love the Wave Candy. This is from Fruity Loops, actually. Image Line actually produced all this shit for Fruity Loops, and this is their little oscilloscope. It's called Wave Candy. I'm a big fan of oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers and shit. I really think visual feedback is very important. I always typically have this on my other screens, so you won't be able to see it now. I'm going to go ahead and move it over there. And I'm going to go ahead and unclip pinch, because that just looks stupid. Alright. And I'll tweak that once I'm done. And so the last part is save it. So I'm going to save this as Autoload 1. So I'll actually say Autoload 2. So go ahead and delete those. And to make it your actual Autoload is actually really easy. Go to Preferences and say Save Current Set as Default. This is in File Folder section. So you're going to click Save Current Set as Default. Save. And then now, when I go up here to New Live Set, it's gonna, might take a little bit. Bam. It's the same thing. So this is the template file. Use and enjoy, guys. and subscribe.